I stepped onto the terrace at View Seal, heart fluttering at the view of the city lights, only to find myself shown to a single wrought iron chair beside a potted ficus, tucked into a corner near the service door. Behind me, through the open French windows, my family laughed beneath the chandeliers. My cousin Lena at the head of that long oak table, her friends flitting between crystal glasses and gourmet plates. I lifted the menu code I'd been sent weeks ago and matched it to the blank spot before me. Proof I'd RSVP'd, chosen the braised lamb, and expected a seat among them. The maitre d' hovered, eyes darting from my chair back to the table. He mouthed an apology as he handed me a yellowed printout of the host list he'd grabbed from the kitchen. I saw my name typed under table 7 alongside my aunt's, but someone had scrawled in bold ink beside it, "Move to patio Les Optics." That blue ink annotation, a directive too deliberate to dismiss, showed I'd been reassigned. Later, Cousin Gavin found me sipping dark roast by the ficus. He leaned in, voice booming enough to carry over the jazz trio. "If you'd spent less time in your coding caves, and more at family dinners, maybe you'd actually count." He tapped my phone case embossed with my startup's logo, as if my work alone justified my exile. I nodded, feeling the sting of his jab, proof that my exclusion was personal, not accidental. A young waiter appeared, clutching the bill folder meant for the head table. He placed it on my small side table by mistake, whispering, "I thought you were hosting." The folder creaked open to reveal the total bill for the main room, some glinting on the top line. When I handed it back, he flushed and snatched it away, confirming I wasn't the host, but he'd believed I was, showing how misplaced my seat truly was. Through the French doors, I watched my mother swirl her spritzer, leaning into Lena as though plotting the next toast. None of them spared a glance towards me. My phone buzzed with a message from Huda, scribbled in haste. "I saw your card shredded in the prep room. There was confetti and paper bits everywhere." That note, the torn place card embossed with my name, lay in my inbox, living proof they'd destroyed my rightful invitation. I leaned back on my chair, inhaling the night air and letting the distant murmur of celebration wash over me. The weight of these details, the marked host list, Gavin's jeer echoing against the terrace walls, the misdirected bill, the shredded card confirmed I wasn't unwelcome by mistake. I raised the chipped porcelain cup in a gentle salute to the empty chair by the windows and felt a slow smile unfurl. Their golden-lit banquet confirmed my outsider's role. My quiet cup of coffee proved I'd found freedom in that knowledge. I settled into the condo, whose floor-to-ceiling windows caught the morning sun, each pane reflecting the silent hum of the server racks in the office a few blocks away. My company, Infold Systems, was small but steady, our dashboard lit up daily with new retail clients logging into the behavior tracking platform I'd built. Yet when I mentioned our launch to Mom over coffee last summer, she paused mid-sip and said, "You're lucky you have your tech toys." That tone, half dismissive, half pity, was proof she never cared what I'd created. When my uncle's plumbing business asked for a website, I sketched a layout, after work, and emailed the files before midnight. The next day, he called to say the design had too many buttons, and that website stuff wasn't serious business. I still have that voicemail saved, his voice crackling with laughter, as he hung up. That message, my unpaid labor cast aside, proved my skills were only worthwhile when they couldn't manage on their own. A few months later, I woke to a direct message notification from my niece on Instagram. Her and Uncle Mark floated above the screen, followed by a request for a college recommendation. I pulled her transcript, wrote a heartfelt letter, highlighting her tenacity, and submitted it through her school portal. A week later, she posted her acceptance photo wide-eyed in her cap and gown, but never sent a thank you. The absence of gratitude, the empty inbox beneath her celebratory post, was proof I'd gone unnoticed. Every Thanksgiving after college, I'd sent my share for family gifts, trusting my bank transfer would ease someone's stress. When I paused that household tradition one year, the group WhatsApp erupted, cousins debating who'd cover what. A forwarded list of expenses. In the middle of the thread, Mom typed, "You always make us feel like we owe you," and hit send. The blunt apology demanded from me proof that my help was never a gift, but a debt. So when Lena's embossed invitation arrived, I hesitated before RSVPing. I arrived at View Seal feeling the excitement of a city sunset, only to be guided past the long table of relatives under those glowing chandeliers. Instead of a place among them, the matro led me to a folding chair beside a ficus, its pot scuffed by waiter carts, the napkin untouched on my lap, the empty wine glass on a small side table, proof of the distinction they'd drawn. Cousin Gavin swaggered over, clinking his champagne glass against my espresso cup, and said, "Nice view of the back alley, miss, sitting with us, nerd boy." His remark, loud enough for Lena's friends to glance my way, confirmed the private audience I'd become. Later, I found the seating chart the manager had slipped me. My name originally printed under the main table with a handwritten note, scratched out and rewritten to place me outside. That torn-edge copy, stained with coffee, was proof that my exclusion was no accident. I sipped my espresso, the liquid bitter against my tongue, and watched my family lift their forks in harmony. In that quiet moment beside the ficus, with the downtown skyline flickering beyond the windows, I knew I had spent years in their shadows. But here, alone, I felt the warmth of my own presence for the first time. My phone vibrated just as I lifted the scallop to my mouth. I glanced down at the screen and saw a new airdrop from Sarah's iPhone. When I tapped it open, there I was slumped against the manicured hedge, my linen jacket rumpled, the twinkling lights of the city in the distance. Below the photo, Sarah's caption mocked me, "Still playing the broke genius act." I felt my chest tighten. Moments later, another alert jolted me, Sarah's follow-up. "Oops, wrong mark. LOL. You know we love you." The accidental double send left no doubt that she hadn't meant to humiliate me in front of Lena's friends, but the sting of her words was as real as the photo's flash. Later, I cornered Daniel by the marble-topped bar when he refilled his glass. His hand tapped the countertop as he leaned in close. "They spent hours fretting about where to seat you," he confessed. "Lena and her mother whispered that you shouldn't overshadow their party." His admission, spoken low enough that only I could hear over the clink of glasses, confirmed the seating mix-up was deliberate, that their worry about optics wasn't an innocent misstep but a calculated move. When the waiter cleared away my empty coffee cup, he paused and met my gaze. "I don't mean to intrude," he said, tilting his head toward the dining room, "but the staff couldn't stop fussing over you, thinking you were hosting." He pointed to a neatly folded folder on the sideboard, still stamped with my name next to the evening's tab. "Daniel mentioned you covered tonight's bill." That whisper, delivered between the soft rustle of table linens, made it clear that their discomfort wasn't about hospitality but envy. The next morning, a cousin's leaked screenshot floated through the family chat. It showed a message sent before the first toast. "Let's hope he doesn't turn this into a startup pitch." The small white bubble hovered above polite RSVPs and menu confirmations, proving they'd fretted over me turning a celebration into a boardroom. That casual text, sight unseen by those outside the group, laid bare their only real concern, that I might take center stage. Each moment, the mistaken airdrop, Sarah's hurried apology, Daniel's quiet confession at the bar, the waiter's awkward admission, and the group chat's leaked jab wove together into undeniable proof. This wasn't family quirk or miscommunication, it was private mockery disguised as politeness. I folded the napkin beside my empty plate, the fabric crisp in my hand, and felt a curious relief wash over me. They had cast me as a peripheral figure, but in revealing their scheme, they'd also shown me who I was not meant to be. I rose from the table, smoothing the lapels of my jacket, and walked away from the hedge where they'd planted me. The city's glow beckoned beyond the rooftop edge, and in the hush of that moment, I understood they could stage their dinner any way they liked. But their play had lost its power over me. My role was no longer written in their script, it was mine to define. The plates had barely cleared, when the lights softened and the restaurant manager appeared, wooden mic stand in hand. He adjusted his tie, glanced up, and spoke, "Thank you, Mr. Whitmore, for making tonight possible." In that moment, the room froze. The crystal chandelier above shivered, as glasses paused mid-toast, proof that his words landed where silence had reigned. I felt the stiff, polite applause ripple through the table, each hesitant clap confirming this announcement wasn't imagined. Daniel rose next, smoothing the lapels of his suit as he stepped forward. He cleared his throat and recounted the night my call had changed everything. His voice steady, he described the frantic phone call he'd made when rumors swirled about a rival snapping up his Bayfront property. He told them about the code I'd written late into the night, the spreadsheets glowing on my laptop screen in my city apartment, and how I'd predicted the other bidder's next move, well before their attorney even saw the documents. His eyes met mine across the table as he said, "He didn't just advise me, he rewrote the playbook." The way his words hung in the candlelit air proved every detail was true, every line in his story a testament to the hours I'd spent behind the scenes. I stood, folded my napkin, and slipped onto the terrace. The manager handed me a crisp folder stamped "Settled," its cover bearing the restaurant's emblem. Inside, I ran my finger over the itemized list, hand-lettered menu fees, the florist's handwritten note, thanking me for the advance deposit, and the caterer's careful signature. I looked up, nodded, and said, "Leave the balance on my tab under family." My voice was calm, but the weight of that gesture, the folder slipping into my jacket pocket, proved I'd taken care of it all without fanfare. Back inside, the table sat motionless. Aunt Cheryl's makeup, usually as precise as her etiquette, had blurred where her hand pressed against her lips. Her wide eyes flicked between Daniel and me, offering silent confirmation that she had directed my seat change, only to be undone by this reveal. Lena, utensil poised inches from her mouth, stared at the folded napkin in her lap. The raspberry glaze clinging to her fork represented the moment she realized I'd never been the outsider they'd made me out to be. I offered the manager a polite nod, and retraced my steps through the softly lit dining room. The chairs leaned against the tables like sentinels, their empty seats proof of the void I'd created by walking away. Voices resumed, low murmurs peppered with astonishment, as the crystal chimed under the weight of their realization. Outside, the night air held the scent of sea salt and eucalyptus. I paused beneath the string lights that draped the rooftop, the city skyline a canvas of muted brilliance behind me. The softly spoken truths I'd left in my wake, the hushed thank you, the ledger of payments, the quiet nods of acknowledgement, were all the validation I needed. I turned toward the stairwell, leaving behind the spectacle of my generosity made visible. In that hush of city night, I felt lighter than ever, the certainty of my own story echoing in each step away from the resplendent halls they'd tried to keep me from. My phone chimed with a text from Aunt Cheryl before I'd even sat down. "I didn't mean to hurt you." The planner must have misunderstood. Tapping through our family group chat, I found her message buried beneath planning documents, her note to seat me by the service door, complete with a bracketed, "less optics," still visible in the planner's forwarded screenshot. That image on my screen was proof her apology was too late to erase the facts. A moment later, I saw Lena had tagged me in a photo of the rooftop spread, candles flickering over white linens, her smiling beside Nathan, while champagne flutes caught the light. Her caption thanked family who stepped up, but in the image, I wasn't among them. I hovered at the edge, half hidden behind a fern. The contrast between her words and the picture itself, familial faces, turned toward the center. My empty chair, visible only by its folded napkin, confirmed her gratitude was never meant for me. Then a ping from Gavin flashed across my DMs. "Didn't know you were killing it like that. We should grab coffee." I scrolled back through our thread to find months of silence, no likes, no birthdays wished, just that sudden ping. His skillfully casual tone, paired with the stark history of emptiness before tonight, served as proof that his outreach was driven by their collective embarrassment, not genuine interest. I next discovered Sarah had unfollowed me on Instagram. I opened her profile to find her follower count ticked down by 1. 2 minutes later, another message appeared, "Hope you know we're just playful. No hard feelings." Attached was a selfie of her towing the line in the circle of bridesmaids, laughter frozen in her eyes. That misguided apology, paired with the abrupt end to her digital connection, served as proof that her insult was more than a slip. It was an unguarded truth. My voicemail lit up with my sister's number. When I hit play, her voice trembled.
"I'm so sorry, Mark.
"I thought you'd come home for Christmas. Do you really want to cut us off forever?" Her words floated over the hum of a car idling outside her apartment, a subtle testament that she called at the brink of tears, waiting for the comfort I'd always provided without question. I opened my messaging app and typed one sentence.
I didn't cut anyone. I just stopped pretending." I sent it, then watched the blue bubble settle among her unread texts.
The clarity and finality in that reply, no emojis, no softening, acted as proof that I was no longer going to sustain the roles they expected of me. In the hush that followed, I watched the notification icons fade away. The apologetic texts, the staged photograph, the performative DMs, the tearful voicemail, all of it lay before me. As evidence, each screenshot, each silent glance at an unfollowed profile. Each trembling message carried its own weight of truth. And in that quiet after, I knew these weren't random mishaps but the desperate backpedaling of people who only noticed my absence when their masks finally slipped. My message tray blinked with a booking request titled Lena Marchand, The Gilded Bloom. When I opened the PDF, I saw their logo atop the page, and our contact information listed under venue owner. I nudged my operations lead, who flipped through our files and pulled up the acquisition document stamped Infold Systems Confidential. His jaw lifted when he saw the signature block, bearing my name, and the red approved stamp beside it was proof I truly owned the mansion now. Later that afternoon, I slipped a handwritten note over to the venue manager. Please enhance the outer terrace seating. Minutes later, he sent me a photo gallery, one shot of the iron chairs dotted with blush peonies in hand-tied bouquets, another of a discreet server offering flutes of champagne rosé to those tables. The manager's email footer, complete with his business card scan, was living proof that he'd followed my request. On the night of the reception, Lena's party arrived to find the lobby's marble floors gleaming under the glow of vintage sconces. A new brass plaque caught their eyes. Restoration sponsored by Infold Systems. Mark Whitmore, principal partner. Aunt Cheryl leaned in, tracing the letters with a fingertip, her lipstick dulling where it brushed the metal proof she read every word. Inside the ballroom, the staff distributed delicate notes at each place, setting cards printed in gold script, edged with hand-painted ivy vines. I watched through the crystal doors as Lena unfolded hers. Her brows rose and she clutched the edge of the long oak table. The card's smooth stock, the weight of ink on its surface, was proof that I had provided more than space I had offered acknowledgement. Down on the terrace, I noticed guests' jaws dropping when a server arrived at the potted ficus, once my solitary perch with a tray of hors d'oeuvres and garnished cocktails. Couples who'd lingered near the parking lot view now smiled and clinked glasses under strings of Edison bulbs. Their laughter floating upward was evidence that the peripheral tables had been transformed into places of gathering. I slipped through a side exit and paused by the wrought iron railing. Inside, I could hear the rise and fall of toasts, the muted clink of champagne glasses echoing through arched windows. My own reflection shimmered in the glass, proof that I belonged to this night in a way they could never see, yet could not ignore. As staff cleared my signature from their billing system marked, "Paid in full by Infold Systems," I touched the ledger entry on my phone, the digital stamp confirming my investment. The hush that followed their stunned applause, the glow in their eyes as they turned toward the terrace, all underscored one truth. I no longer waited for an invitation. I owned the space, and I chose who sat at the table.